The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Well, then, the iRacing IMSA Online Sports Car Championship round number 3 will be coming right at you in just a couple of moments' time. This time, we're heading to the Far East. We'll see you in a couple of moments.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
once again we head for some iRacing IMSA racing action. And if you thought last week was absolutely jammed packed with action, well, we have some news for you today with this race here at the Suzuka International Racing Circuit. We have many of the same names that we saw battling out up and down the field last week. But a little bit of info on how the circuit is looking out there right now. It is cold. It is overcast weather. Track temperature only hovering around about 22 degrees Celsius. And, well, just as we come towards the end of qualifying here, I cannot wait for this race, considering how much action that there was in the previous event. I just couldn't keep track. It was fantastic to watch.
An overcast Suzuka is going to mean that it is going to be hard on the first lap, but after that, Connery, we don't have to really worry about tyres falling off it. It's far too cold for that. And what I think we're going to see is drivers tiptoeing around for the first half a lap, and then afterwards, high-speed action.
Yeah, absolutely, as qualifying has actually got itself done and in the books, so we can very quickly go over what your starting grid looks like for all three classes. In your C7 Daytona Prototypes, it is Eric Andre. So last week's race winner gets himself pole position, lining up alongside his teammate there in Johan Harth. Fraser Williamson and Blake Neck, both names in last week's event, make their return, sitting on the second row of the grid. Brandon Rains and Benjamin Morton will round out your 6-car C7 Daytona Prototype field. Then looking back to your GTEs, Ricardo Castroledo there. Pole position for him, lining up next to Bruno Fontalba. You've got Barry Morris and Miko Melkela on the second row behind them. Third row will consist of Thibaut Cazabon and Cesar Froner. Then looking further back, you got Antia Hola, Tammy Ackley as well in the mid-pack. Benjamin Gonzalez, Jan Sinkowski, Arthur LeHook, Javod Karoni, just an absolute packed mid-pack here in the GTEs, which we are very excited about. We've got Andre Martins, Vincenzo Silvestri, Luigi Nespolino, Renan Azero as well further back. And right at the back of the grid, you have the likes of Joel Guez, Cyril Rodriguez, and Med Joel. So a fantastic field there in your GTEs. Tony Repuzard will have to start at the back of the grid of that particular field because he did not set a qualifying time. In your GT3s, though, Fabrice Cornelis leads the way from Michael Evdoka, Wim Stockman's Ricardo Lamgoli, and Luan Vincius de Souza bring things down to your top 5 in qualifying for that particular class. Lawrence Cantor, Robin DeVille, Alexandra Van der Wood. You've got Michael Fontini and Edward Zinov rounding out your field in GT3s as the pace car will pull itself away. Then only a short run, only a couple of corners under pacing speed, and we'll get this race underway. So very good qualifying here for Race Clutch in the prototype field, getting themselves a front row lockout, which will be brilliant for both drivers, so they have a little bit of a buffer perhaps back to Fraser Williamson, who was so aggressive in the previous race at Imola. But there we go. There, the pace car pulls down on towards the lane. There's going to be a little bit of the brake checking as they get themselves towards the start-finish line. But Eric Andre decides to go now. Fantastic start for him and his teammate. That must have been timed there between the two teammates as they break away from the rest of the field, heading down in towards turn 1. Easy does it then for your prototype field as your GTE machines then head their way across the line. Castroledo defending immediately down into turn 1 from Barry Morrison. You've got Bruno Fontalba behind as well, looking to get himself into the thick of things, but Castroledo, the new VRS co-handed Sim Sports driver, holding strong at the front of your GTE field as you see them all snaking up through this fantastic first sector. You've got the GT3s doing the same as well. Fabrice Cornelis still leading the way. He actually didn't give the GT3E field much of a buffer, so you can see the back of the GTE field and the front of the GT3s are still very close together indeed. But Cornelis has got a monster start here. He's got good, almost a second lead over the second place car in class there.
I'll tell you one thing, Connery, actually. For Fabrice, this will actually prove to be an advantage over the first couple of laps. Although he's got to be careful that this rear of your GTE field don't battle too hard, and that advantage has gone away because Cornelius there actually now right behind Joel Buez and Med Daniel, and that basically means he's going to get the toe down the long straightaways, but he's now going to be bolted a little bit, and he's got to hope that he gets a good run out of Spoon.
Yeah, exactly. Up towards Spoon he comes, and you can see the rear end of the GTE field ahead of him. That's Med Druel just getting a little bit squirrely there, coming through the middle of Spoon curve, but this is where the GTEs will stretch their legs a little bit with the straight line speed advantage that they do have. So Cornell's just going to sit inside their slipstream right now and just again looking to pull away from Michael Evdoka. Evdoka not really able to do much, as it's a little bit battling in the mid-pack of your GTEs. Mikko Melkler has actually dropped back through the field somewhat. Did start sort of nearish the top 6, top 8 there. Is actually all the way down now. Position number 19 on the overall standings. That's position number 13 then in class as he looks for the move over Andre Martins. Gets that one signed, sealed and delivered. No problems. Quick down the inside and no hassle.
Done a good job. I did see someone going very smoky through. Oh, we got a car turned around. Yeah, I did think someone might have blown a gear box there, and that is actually David Caroni, number 13 car. I'm not sure if he was oversteer through turn number 1 and 2, Connery, or whether he's got an engine issue, but the replay's up.
Yep, you'll see that on your screen. He actually actually messed it up before the little left-hand. He got onto the grass a little bit on entry to the left and just made the car completely unstable. Had to skip over the curb and then ditch it into the gravel trap and then wait for everyone else to make their way by in that GTE field, but gets himself back on track behind your race leader in GT3s. But having a little bit of look now towards your prototype field, it is Eric Andre leading right now from Blake Neck. So that is actually, I'm trying to find Johan Half, because he has dropped quite far back here. He's actually dropped 2 positions there on the start. So we'll have to see how that one has happened. And he's completely overcooked it coming down into the Casio triangle. That is a very, very scary mistake to be making. And it might have been similar to what happened to actually put him in this position as we tried to find that one, but he's now coming under pressure from Benjamin Norton.
And all of a sudden, Race Clutch, after having a good qualifying, Connery, they have had issues now in both the prototype class and in terms of GTE. And what do we often say? When we've got one team who dominates in qualifying, something is always bound to go wrong at the start of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I found the instant that's put Johan Half back a bit. It's on the brakes, up in towards the hairpin. So yet another issue with getting that car slowed down for Johan Half. Twice in the same lap that it's happened. So he can't be in any way confident on those brakes right now, given that he's missed 2 very heavy braking zones.
And what did I say as well? The first couple of laps is always going to be a bit tippy-toey. Here's Fraser Williamson, Connery. He's to the outside, and he's got himself up into 2nd place. These tyres, because of a short pace lap here, basically means these drivers are having to get heat into their tyres very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously with the whole cold track temperature thing going on with the overcast conditions, it just means that those tires are taking a little bit longer to come up to temperature. Now I'm seeing some of these prototypes especially, just slide their way through some of these apexes, trying so the heat in the tires just isn't quite there yet as we're coming up towards the completion of lap number 3, at least if you're an Eric Andre and have a sizable gap of about 1.7 seconds right at the front of the field. But now Fraser Williamson, he can go and chase the race win as long as he doesn't get all over the curb at 130R like that, and that has messed up his run all the way down into the Casio triangle as well. Blake Neck almost runs into the back of him, but manages to get away with it. So multiple prototype drivers having issues with brakes.
Yeah, this deserves a second look then. This is Fraser Williamson into the triangle. Not going to show it yet because there's a good chance that Blake might go down the inside in towards turn number 1 and 2. Not going to happen, so now we can go back to the replay. And Williamson, that's what happened down at the 130R. That's what caused him to overshoot, Connery, because he had absolutely no traction coming out the 130R.
I think this is the point in the whole broadcast that we do have to bring up the low grip Japanese asphalt, right?
Yes, it was the holy beep moment, I think, of the race as well. That reminded me of the crash that Anna McNish had at this track down at 130R that actually made them reprofile the track. Williamson was lucky still to be in this race.
Yeah, incredibly lucky. We've seen so many scary incidents coming up into 130R, and usually if you get yourself on the curb there, you start losing control of the car, you are pretty much done. You're going to head for a tyre barrier somewhere around that area of the circuit, but Fraser manages to save it, even though it did result in him completely overshooting the Casio Triangle and coming under threat from Blake Neck. The important thing for his race is that he's still in it.
Yes, and that is the important thing. These are only 45-minute races, Connery. Compared to what we had in the iRacing Le Mans series last season, it's 15 minutes shorter, and that does have a huge impact on the way that these drivers have to negotiate this race as well, and it means that there's less room for error. And what I also love about the fact is that we've got fantastic fields with GT racing for the second season in a row on prime time.
Yeah, as a result, even though you think, oh, it's a multi-class race, so you treat it more like an endurance event. Oh no, 45 minutes is definitely a sprint race length. As looking back to that GT field, in fact, Ricardo Castrolito has got himself a decent 2-second gap over Bruno Fontalba. What have you spotted, Will?
Yeah, Fabrice Cornelius has just had an incident. Fabrice
Oh,
Cornelius
no.
has just had an incident, and this is the same Pure Racing team that was on top of the world a couple of weeks ago at Sim Racing Expo. Fabrice just lost it there. That was a rookie error down into Spoon.
Again, it's issues getting on the entry to the corners on the brakes, so maybe the same issue that's affecting the prototypes is also affecting these GT machines as well. As Fabrice goes for a spin completely on the outside of the Spoon curve, actually has resulted in him dropping a good couple of positions here and actually down in towards what looks like, as he heads his way across the line, P number 4 in class. So he has to really work on the back foot now and just show why that Pure Racing team car is as good as it has been for the past year.
Yes. And for Fabrice, of course, he's got a lot of work down that he's going to have to do to try and get up a meaningful position here. I did also notice, Connery, that Brandon Ray's on pit road. He looks like he's had a crash and is out.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple of dramas for a good couple of drivers out there on circuit. We also have, Benjamin Gonzalez down on the lane. So that one actually happened coming towards the start of the second lap, I believe, where he had a little bit of a moment. Actually, on the first lap, coming through the Degners was where he had his particular issue, and I don't think he's going to be coming out anytime soon. But looking at your current standings, the Balfour P number 2 in GTE, this one is looking pretty close between Bruno Fontalba and Thibaut Kazubon. You've got Barry Morrison involved in this trainer as well. And once again, we have a Ford GTE doing well. It's very, very nice to see.
It's very refreshing after the Le Mans series, where the Ford GT was basically the car that was only used if you wanted to, quote-unquote, get the safety rating. But yeah, Thibaut Kazubon doing a great job in that GTE car. And of course, you've also got Bruno Fontalba just 1 second ahead as well. And this Ford GT, let's be honest, it's a hard car to drive, Connery. Yes, it's a little bit easier than the GT GT3 car, but it's still a hard car to drive.
And I think this is a track that kind of suits its driving style, especially that first sector where it's so downforce dependent. This Ford GT has a lot of downforce going for it. It struggles in the medium to low speed corners, but the corners in the first sector are all pretty high speed grip, aerodynamic grip dependent corners, and that is just exactly what it thrives at. So the performance gap is going to be a little bit less here than some other circuits on the calendar.
Yeah, as we go back, let's have a look at Barry Morrison as well, because he is about 0.6 of a second further back right now. And I do love the fact that we really have got multi-class racing with multi-different cars coming to the fold here as well. It is so good to see, 2-3 different manufacturers of all equal footing, and that's one of the things that I know iRacing was trying to push in the last build, trying to get more performance balance, shall we say, between some of these GT cars.
Absolutely. You just got to look at the GT machines right now. You've got a Porsche leading, you've got a Ferrari in second, and you've got a Ford in third. Balance of performance, pretty good for this event, I feel.
Yeah, I completely agree. GT3 as behind in that total GT3 battle as well. You have got some battles still going on. That third place battle I've just been keeping an eye out on, Connery. Currently separated by 5 tenths of a second. Wim Stockman is a driver that I've known for many years on iRacing. He's always been good in GT racing. He's got Ricardo Lamagilla right behind him, half a second as they're going to spoon.
Yeah, exactly. Lamgoli in that number 26 in that Audi, which has been the favored GT3 for the vast majority of the past year, trying to chase down that Mercedes-AMG of Stockman's. We'll sit in the draft then coming up towards 130R. Having a little bit of a look at the lap times, a tenth of a second advantage was gained that last time by the car behind. That is Lamogli as he heads his way down then in towards the Casio triangle. And well, Angoli, he's got a little bit of work to do here. He did kind of have a little bit of a moment a little bit early on in the event, but has managed to gain, of course, that position over Fabrice Cornelis after his issues, and now he's looking to get himself even further up onto that podium. Currently P number 3, so a couple of steps to go, and he can take the race win. But the thing is, Evdoka, he's a couple of seconds down the road, but not completely out of sight.
He's not, and that's the whole thing. He's still very close racing here at Suzuka, and actually Suzuka is a track that does lend itself quite often to close racing as well here, Connery. So that will be interesting to keep an eye on what will happen as the race will progress. I mean, we're about a third of the way through the event right now, and we've still got really good battles going on in both your GT and GT3 fields. Your battles in terms of prototypes, they have stretched out a little bit. I mean, Olenek Andre, though, 4.2 seconds now ahead of Fraser Williamson.
Yeah, and he extended that gap last time by as well by about 0.2 of a second. The fastest prototype driver out there on track, though, is the number 4 of Johan Hart, currently sitting P number 3, actually around lap time, about 0.1 of a second faster than your race leader that last time by. And Blake Neck isn't actually letting him get away too much, so there's still a very good possibility that this prototype field can close up by the end of this event, depending on how things turn out with those pit stops. But battle for P and well, it's going to be P number 4 then in GTE. They're side by side down in towards turn number 1. Tammy Ackley, number 11, versus Barry Morrison as they hit the brakes down into the first 2 apexes. Morrison trying to hang it around the outside, trying to get the speed off the corner then in towards the first of the S's here. He's getting very, very close to the back bumper of that Ford GT, or more like diffuser, since that Ford doesn't look like it even has a bumper with how the back of that car is styled. But this is where the Ford's just going to pull away through these fast apexes.
Yeah, I like the fact that we're talking very carefully about the rear end of a Ford GT. I'll tell you what, Cam Walsh will be very, very proud of us after that.
Yeah, I bet he would. But under the bridge they go then. Out the second Degner, and it's one of the unique features of this racetrack where it does cross over itself. And in a way, I do wish more racing tracks actually did that. It does have an interesting element in terms of the spectacle and the camera angles you can get as well. So it's just an absolutely brilliant piece of this design, this entire racetrack. That first sector is just an absolute pleasure to drive in any car.
Oh, it really is. I mean, the thing is, and I often say this, Connery, that you can gain a second at the S's, but you can also lose about 2 seconds. And it really is about how confident you are in the car and how brave you are to manipulate that car around the racetrack.
Oop, Vincenzo Silvestri has had an issue. Driver of the number 10. Actually looks very similar to Fabrice Cornelis' incident up into Spoon Curve, and it is. Gets himself on the brakes on the entry, and this just dips half a tyre into the grass on the outside, and it spins it around.
Yeah, there's one look at the replay. Let's get ourselves a bit more of a look. This was, again, you're right, down into Spoon Corner. So, letting himself down on... he catches the grass and the entry into the corner, Connery.
Yeah, just half a tire is all it needs, or rather half of the 2 tires on the that side of the car, which kind of makes it a full tire. But we'll just ignore that one as Silvestri manages to get himself back on the racing circuit. Although at the back of the GTE field, or at least the rest of your GTE runners that are still out there on circuit. So that's an unfortunate incident for him, but he'll have to look to make the recovery drive then throughout the rest of this very, very short event. We're already under 30 minutes to go in this one, and it's all been, right now, a little bit calm, unless you're Fabrice Cornelis, because he's just made himself a pass over Lamogli, so he's making his way back through the field, getting that pass done in turn 1.
Yeah, and he kind of needed to do that for Breeze because, of course, you've got to remember the fact that iRating and safety rating are in play here. So for Fabrice, he can't just end up toddling along and finishing in the top 5 and saying goodbye to this race to see if we can use iRating. He's the highest I-rated driver in the entire field here, so he'd have a lot to lose had he not recovered from that drive, as he's just worked himself up into that 3rd position.
Here's an interesting statistic. If he finishes P number 3, which is where he's at right now, he will still lose 18 I-rating.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that is just absolutely insane. But the thing is, that comes with the territory when you have about 7,000 I-rating in about a 3,000 strength of field in that GT3 class. So it's going to be a bit tough, but Cornelis hopefully can get himself up into 2nd at least, and then not take the I-rating hit that comes with finishing 3rd and below, apparently. But in your GTE field, that strength of field is about 6,000. So the standard of driving in this class should be a lot higher, and those high I-rating drivers don't really have to worry about finishing at the back of the field and losing 100 I-rating points. I did see someone lock up. Actually, someone's had an incident. That's Jan Zentowski. Driver of the number 7 has had major issues coming up through turn number 2 this time. Gets turn number 1 done just about right. Just car swapped ends. Like, it just broke traction. There's just nothing else I can say about that. Had a little bit of a wiggle trying to get it slowed down for the second apex, but it just swapped.
Well, first of all, the Team Points Involved car, we always say, is one of the prettiest in terms of GT racing right now, but you're right. It was fine for the first apex, then bubbled under the second, losing speed, then gets tagged and turned around. Jensen Kowski is now well down in 15th place in your GTE field. Also, we do just want to apologise for some of the timing issues that we had at the start of this event. We have sorted it out now. For once, it's not actually my fault.
No, it's not. It absolutely isn't. But the thing is, I have no idea what the issues were because I am not the one in the production booth. But with this event as it goes so far, Bruno Fontalba and Thibaut Cazobon, this is one we talked about a little bit earlier. Well, they are still pretty close together for P number 2 in your GTE class. And the important thing to know is in a couple of laps' time, the vast majority of all 3 fields will be coming in and getting their 1 mandatory pit stop service done, because these cars, well, the C7 Daytona Prototypes at least, they have a fuel limit of about 60%. So they can, of course, split it half and half, but I noticed that the GTEs and the Prototypes like to go as far as they can on the tank before coming down in. The GT3s, though, they have a little bit more leeway. I've seen in previous sessions that they can just, they go for the half and half split.
Yes, and what is one of the things I love about this series, a bit like the iRacing Le Mans series last season as well, is that they are forced to do a pit stop, because that's a big part of GT racing, Connery. Yes, turning laps is important. Yes, negotiating traffic is important, but it is quite often going down to the slowest speed that you do all race long, coming into a pit stop and coming out, that shows the true mark of a driver. And well, again, I like the fact that, you know, these drivers have to do that because it tests out another important driving skill.
Thing is, throughout this event so far, we've had no one come on down towards the lane, but we'll get that rectified in the next couple of laps if our predictions are correct. Close battle, though, for P number 11 overall. This is Antiohola versus Cesar Fronet. And of course, Antiohola was involved in one of the many fantastic fights that we had back last week at Imola, so hopefully he can rectify his amazing defense here today against the Ford GT of Frona. Through the spoon curve they will go, and it's so important to get a good exit out of this corner. Don't track out too wide. There is a little bit of a gravel trap there that can catch you out, and then just open up that throttle. Just keep inside the slipstream all the way down towards 130. You can see Frona, he's already looking trying to make the move into 130R. A little bit too far back to make that one work. There's a car off ahead, though. That's a GT3. That is Alexander van der Wood. Oh my God. The battle we were just watching as well is spiced up a little bit because Frona and Antiola both missed the brakes coming down in towards the Casio triangle. And that has just meant that Antiola holds the position as they hit their way across the line.
And at the same time, we have actually now had pit stops. We've had one in GT3, and we have had 2, 3 in terms of your prototype. But yeah, all of a sudden, one driver makes a little bit of an issue, and it's a chain reaction, Connery. And again, these track conditions, and we thought it was going to be grippy. I actually think it's too cold right now. About 2 or 3 degrees too cold for these tyres, and as a consequence, they have to almost overdrive the car to keep the tyre temperature.
Yeah, that could certainly be the issue, as we've had so many single car spins that, considering the level of this field, that we're not used to seeing, and we might have had another one as well, because Mikko Melkala, what has happened to him? There's another car off as well, so it's an instant between a GTE and a GT3. Alexander Woods has got himself involved in an instant once again, this time not on his lonesome. It was an instant with the traffic then for Melkala and Wood.
Yeah, here's the replays. They work on the exit of the S. He's down into Dunlop. Oh, you don't make a move down that late into Dunlop, Miko. You know better than that one. And he just has to wait and wait and wait. And, well, that is poor judgment there, in my opinion, by Miko. He could have waited, maybe gone to the outside, then took the inside line into Denga 1.
Yeah, I know these GTE machines are fantastic, at least compared to the GT3 machines, through the corners, through the high-speed corners, but there's no need to go for a move like that. Just take a couple of seconds, a couple tenths of a second of lost time and get yourself past when it comes up towards the Daytonas. Don't just do that and just sacrifice your whole event because you wanted to get past the bit of that traffic a little bit quicker. But Fraser Williamson now, one of your leaders. Ooh, speeding penalty there.
26.1 seconds on the gun. Everyone else around him is doing 9.6 seconds. Fraser Williamson, a speeding penalty, in my opinion, on towards pit road. That has ruined his chance of getting a top 2 here. In fact, that's what he ruined his chance of getting a podium in this event for that Team Bushwick Racing car.
Yeah, I'm just having a look to actually confirm that and see how fast he went down on towards the lane. So it gets on the brakes pretty late. Oh, it's a 60 km/h speed limit here at the Suzuka Racing Circuit, and he crossed the yellow cones. I'm just going to check this one at 76 and got a little bit over that as well afterwards as he was turning the pit limiter on. So that slowdown penalty definitely for Fraser Williamson.
He needed to miss the loophole. Same guy that got David Beckham out of his speeding ticket the other day. But I know Eric Andre is now also on towards pit road, Connery.
Absolutely. So that is pretty much the entirety of your prototype field, with the exception of Benjamin Morton that has decided to head their way down towards the lane. Actually, I have him having come down on towards the lane. So that is the entirety of your prototype field deciding to pit before lap 13 of this particular event. As Fraser Williamson, as well as being slow on the pit lane, look at what it's resulting in him doing as well now. He's got himself involved in GTE traffic, so things go from bad to worse from the young Scotsman.
A number of drivers actually from other classes have come on towards pit road. A lot of your GT3 field have come in, as you said there, Connery. They'd come in around the halfway point, and they have done that. Luis Cornelis, Michael Ekdova, Ricardo Lemagila has come on towards pit road, Rico Frontali. Basically, your top 4 have yet to come on towards pit road. However, our first big taker from GTE, Fabok Kazibon, now comes down to do his service.
Yeah, absolutely. The GTE pit stop window is definitely in full swing as Kazibon decides to head his way in. Barry Morrison also decides to join him down on towards the lane. We still have that battle between Antiola and Forena. They were duking it out then down through turn number 1 and 2, and it is still going to be Antiola defending his position. We saw this at Imola with drivers behind. He basically just acts like a roadblock, and not illegally. There weren't any illegal blocks going on. Ahola is just a very difficult driver to get past.
Well, yeah, and the thing about this track as well is it's not the widest track here, Connery. You know, at certain points it really is only about 4 car lengths wide, about the minimum distance, minimum width the FIA would allow for such tracks. I mean, let's talk about that, of course. Got to remember at Baku they have it where it literally is a car width and a half wide, down at turn number 6. But one of the things I have noticed is that drivers really have to work out their overtaking opportunities. Fraser Williamson is now going to get himself past all that GT traffic, but he is now down into 4th place. Overall, he is still 3rd place in class, however. So he looks like he should still get himself a podium because he's about 8 seconds ahead of Benjamin Morton in 4th class.
Yeah, he is, but the thing is, to his next car down the road that is about full position, that stands at about 17 seconds right now, so not the greatest gap for Fraser Williamson. I think he's just going to stay there on the final step of the podium unless something drastic happens at the front of the field. But looking back then to GT3s, because we didn't give a lot of love to GT3s at Imola. We haven't really been giving them a lot of love in this one as well, except for when they're spinning around at Spoon Curve. But their pit stop cycle is in progress as well. Robin DeVille, driver number 31, just coming off of pit lane, just interacting a little bit with the prototype traffic, trying to come through on him. But the current race leader in that particular field, actually on my timing screens, is De Souza, then it's Fabrice Cornelis, then it's Michael Evdoka. So their pit stop cycle will just cycle through in just a couple of moments' time, but Evdoka and Lamogli, 28 and 26, they're battling through the Degnas then. So the AMG Mercedes versus the Audi, once again, battle of the German manufacturers up towards the hairpin turn. Very, very tight corner that you have to hug the inside for and then nail the throttle out of it for the run down towards Spoon. But Michael Evdoka successfully defending then against the number 26 Audi, but for how long, I don't know.
But more importantly, they've actually lost themselves a second and a half to Fabrice Cornelis over the course of this lap due to that battle down at Dinger number 2 and then into the hairpin. So Riccardo Lamogli is actually going to be thinking, I need to get myself past as soon as possible. But Michael Evdoka still holds position. It's a quarter of a second between them, Connery. And for Lamogli, it's going to be a case of really trying in towards the triangle.
Let's have a look if he tries this time. Bit of a wiggle from Evdoka coming out of 130R. Lamogli looks for a gap that doesn't exist and punts Evdoka down through the Casio triangle. That actually was more of a lack of commitment down which way or the other rather than anything else. Lamogli, he looked towards the outside, tried to look towards the inside, but got caught in two minds. Instead, went for the middle, and Evdoka, the innocent party in that one, just left stranded on the exit, or on the entry, sorry, of the triangle.
Yeah, and that Petit Motorsports car of Evdoka suffering as a consequence. He falls down actually outside your podium into 4th position. Wim Stockman has gone past as well. And all of a sudden, Wim Stockman is looking at potential silver medal position because he's only 4/10 of a second behind Lamogli.
Yeah, he is. So that is a bit of a change then in your GTE field. The rest of your GT3 field, but your GTE field, they are still currently following themselves through on their pit stop. So the GTEs have the widest pit stop window here in this event. Jan Sinkowski, Silvestri, you've got Nespolino as well. They've headed themselves down in and getting themselves stopped in their particular boxes. But we're still waiting for the likes of Fontalba. We're waiting for Ackley as well. Antiohola hasn't decided to head his way in yet, as well as a good couple of drivers in that GTE field. And I think the maximum that these GTE drivers can go is around about 17 or 18 laps at a push. So they'll be coming down in soon.
Yeah, Jens Fontalski coming out of pit road in that Team Hoxenveld car. Pit stop time for him with 10.8 seconds. Cesar Frona, pit stop time for him, a long one. Speeding penalty for him then of 26.6 seconds. Vincenzo Silvestri out as well. 10.5 second pit stop for him. But you're right, it is the case now of turning our attention over to your leaders. Let's actually go on board for a bit here, Connery, with Bruno Fontabula, because he is leading. That gap between P1 and P2 is only 7/10 of a second right now. But Fontabula, if he's not on towards pit road this time by, has to come on next.
Yeah, absolutely. Through the Casio triangle he goes, just hopping over those curbs then. Decides to angle it then down towards the pit lane, so he's in this time by. Same with Tammy Ackley as well, directly behind. De Souza will stay out here in this particular situation in the GT3, and you've also got Antiola deciding to head his way in for GTE as well. Will Andre Martins decide to head his way in as well? The answer to that one's going to be yes. Same with Joao Coroni, same with Repuzada as well. It's a GTE pit party as Rodriguez decides to pit as well.
Yep, so Fontablo will come in. We're looking for somewhere in the region of 10 to 12 seconds. Fontablo just putting fuel in, no tyre change here, out and away, 11.4 seconds. You can see, actually, it's very close between himself and Tammy Akoli as they come out of pit road. Behind, you've got Fabio Casaubon just come back through to work themselves past as well. Fontablo, third place. We have had a request, though, that we have not had enough immersion with Ricardo.
Well, there we go. You ask for it, you do get it. Ricardo Castrolito, this is a Race Spot TV fan immersion on board with the new VRS Kind of Sim Sport driver. Ricardo Castrolito, then the new signing for VRS Kind of Sim Sports from, of course, Core Sim Racing. So he's looking for, well, has got himself to greener pastures, joining a very, very elite club of sim racers in that VRS Kind of Sim Sports team. And once again, with that signing, it does mean that with, of course, Paschalis Jurgis, that VRS Kind of Sim Sports have yet another VRS GT Endurance Championship team. Yeah, they really do, and with signings such as this, that is definitely a statement of intent then from VRS Kind of Sim Sport to take the fight to anyone that they find out there on circuit, not just the absolute dominance that Pure Racing Team have shown so far this year. They really, really want to take the fight to them, and of course FA Racing G2 as well, getting themselves involved in that particular battle. And what do you think of how Core Sim Racing has just sort of managed this sort of situation? Because this exact same thing happened to them a year ago at the end of the last VRS iRacing GT World Championship, where they lost Freddie Rasmussen, they lost Isaac Price and Sebastian Job, that championship winning trio. And again, even though they're not championship winning trio this time, they've lost two drivers, they've lost a car in that championship again.
In my opinion, if they want to end up losing, if the drivers want to leave, it's actually better, Connery, to let them leave. And this is a serious thing, as I say, as a former team manager, because what you don't want to do is have drivers who are unhappy, because actually what it does, it makes the team dynamic worse, race on race. So actually, Core Sim Racing, they are an established name. They've got good enough drivers, but they can bring more people into that fold. And they kind of, in my opinion, having a bit of a similar crisis, like you can argue, as Radicals and Inex and the likes of Apex Racing UK have done over previous years. I don't think Core Sim Racing really care.
but it's going to take a while for them to bounce back from something like this. They didn't quite bounce back from losing Rasmussen, Job, and Price, so losing yet more of their very star-studded drivers, that's going to hurt a little bit. But hopefully, for the sake of sim racing on iRacing, that they can come back from this one with renewed vigor and take some fights in perhaps the new endurance series. We have the first round of the Sportscar Open as well this weekend, so that is one that you can afford not to watch.
Yeah, and of course we also build up to our winter coverage with the return of the Neo Endurance Series as well, which will be live here on Racesport TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. And a lot of people say, why do the team changes happen now? Why do they not wait until the new year? Well, that's the reason, Connie, because actually, once you get out of the official World Championship Series, you're right in to the league races, the likes of the Neo Endurance Series, the likes of the Sportscar Open, and all the other great ones we have on the network. And it means that drivers have only actually got a very short window to adapt to new teams.
Yeah, of course, there's a concept in other esports as well of a player break, and that extends to traditional sports as well. But in sim racing, there doesn't seem to be a break for everyone here with the with that whole league racing, and later on in the year with the official iRacing stuff earlier on. It's just can be a little bit hectic. That means our silly seasons do get a little bit more silly as a result of that one. But as far as this race is going right now, it's kind of calmed down quite a bit from when we last talked about it, from before we went on board with Ricardo Castrolero. We still have a close battle between Fontalba and Ackley then for P number 3 in class for GTE. And there's a quite considerable train further back from them, P number 9 in class in GTE. That's Azaredo, Frona, Represad, Martin, Silvestri. They are all within a second of each other in this one. And the GT3s, well, they have spread themselves out as well. So it looks like GTEs are going to be our focus then for the final 7 minutes.
And Fabrice Cornelis is leading again in GT3. Where did that one come from?
Yeah, where did that one come from? Maybe while we were on board with Ricardo Castellino, he decided to make all of his moves. And what was that driver that decides to always make his moves like not on camera that Jake keeps talking about? Kind of doing an impression with him.
Yes, I forget the driver. I always feel as if I'm embarrassing myself or disrespecting Jake by not remembering this driver. But hey, Fabrice Cornelis has the race lead, so he will gain some high rating overall right now, and he's ahead of Ricardo Lamogli. And that is, I'm trying to work out what's happened here, because was this with Micro Fontini maybe? Because I don't see any other drivers had a particularly bad lap over the last couple.
Yeah, Fontini actually on the lane right now, and just cycling things back to try and find out where that incident may have happened involving the driver of the number 30 Audi. He's currently 4 laps down on your leader, so this might have happened quite a while ago indeed. But are you finding anything there, Will?
I'm actually too busy looking at Cesar Fronga right there, as he's just been in a battle with Renan Azendre, and that is down into 130R, and they're still going at it on the exit of the triangle.
Yeah, absolutely. Just take us through it, Will.
So they're going to head themselves towards the start-finish line. It will be Caesar in the number 17 machine. They're going to go 3 wide in towards turn number 1. Let's play a game of threading the needle. If you're Tony Reposado and one driver going off.
Represad, does he hold it on the outside? He does, but he loses a couple of positions thanks to that little off-track excursion there. But Azaredo leading this train now up the hill through the S's. Andre Martins in that second in line. We've got Silvestri third in line in that Ford GT then. As I'm just going to have a little bit of a look back at that incident coming through turn number 1, turn number 2. It's a 3-wide moment with Reposado in the middle, so there's not a lot of space to work with. And it also comes down to the fact you stated earlier on, Will, is that this track is very narrow. You're struggling to get 2 wide, let alone 3 wide.
Yeah, and the big issue that came out of that, number 17 machine, Cesar, actually disqualified from the event for going over the incident limit.
Oh, no. Of course, in every single iRacing official series, there is an instant limit to be concerned about. For this particular event, it is 17, and as soon as you go over 17, well, that is your race completely done. Instant disqualification. But Silvestri then down towards the inside, or at least looking at the move down in towards Spoon Curve, but not able to complete it over Andre Martins then. And he's running out of time a little bit here. There's about 3 laps to go the next time these guys head their way across the line. And let's just see if it's going to be as feisty for those remaining 4 minutes as it has been over that past lap when they went 3 wide down in towards turn number 1. But Silvestri has dropped back a little bit here, coming down through 130 yards, just allowing Martins to actually focus on the driver ahead. That's Azaredo, as varying runs then out of the Casio triangle. Martins looking very, very aggressive, makes it side by side with his fellow Ferrari then down the pit straight across the start finish line. They will go. Azaredo has to defend the inside then from Martins. Martins, no commitment at all on that outside, and just dropping straight back in line and allowing Silvestri to catch right back up.
Can you explain this number 22's livery? Fight for Happy Cat's car.
That I hadn't paid much attention to the livery, and that is, I mean, if there's a cause worth fighting for, it's Happy Cats, right?
Well, yes, you say that with Race Spot Cat and Safety Car Cat here in the Race Spot TV household in the United Kingdom. And we all know that Hugo Luis has about 1,400 cats over at Brazil as well. Cam Walsh has a cat. Rachel Whiteford, I believe, has a cat. So we are a cat family here at Race Spot, as I think that René Azaredo doesn't quite understand the role of the flashing headlights, because he's not got anyone within about 10 car lengths.
I know. And also, my parents own 2 cats. So, but the thing is, unfortunately, in university halls, you can't, university accommodation, to explain that for international viewers, you're not allowed any pets.
No,
which is,
although
which is quite understandable.
You do end up sometimes with campus cats.
Oh yeah, we do have one here.
Yes.
We do have one that decides to lurk around a little bit. Of course, was a former stray cat and has decided to just be adopted by the university, as those things tend to happen. But more focus then on this battle towards the lower mid-pack then of your GTE field, as Azaredo still leading the way in this particular train, defending from Martins and Silvestri. But is there going to be an opportunity then for Silvestri to decide to head his way down the inside of Martins? Look how tentative he is on the brakes. He just decides, oh, should I go for it? Oh, should I go for it? But he doesn't even need to, because Martins has a catastrophic mistake on the exit.
Yeah, I like what you said there. Andre Martins, yeah, spinning it around down at the triangle. That's going to put him down into 12th place, maybe 13th in class, because Luigi Nespolino is actually behind. No, actually, that's the number 4 machine of Johan Harf. Let's just talk about this. Race Clutch are 1 and 2 again in terms of prototype.
Yeah, they're doing an absolutely fantastic job. Of course, and Eric Andre, race winner last time out at Imola, is looking to do the same again, and is pretty close to be doing the same again, as he has 2 laps to go. Just getting a little bit caught up in the lap traffic here, which is the battle that we were watching. So it's just going to sit behind Azaredo for now, just make sure this pass is negotiated all fine and dandy. He's got 5 seconds back to his teammates, so he doesn't have to be rushed in terms of getting these passes done. But a driver that does seem like he's rushing a little bit is Silvestri, with how he's trying to wheel that forward around the corners.
Yes, so we just have a wonderful look then by the camera planted on the exit of Denga number 2. And whilst we've been talking about this, just to let you know, there hasn't really been any developments in GT3. You said earlier, Connery, we end up ignoring them at the end of races. Well, we're doing so again because the big battles are in GTE.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got potentially a battle closing up in GT3 between Lemogil and Stockmans, but that one is still with coming up to under a minute to go. That one's probably not going to close up, but the one that we are focusing on then further back through the GTE field, it is Azaredo, it is Silvestri. Can Silvestri gain another position in a matter of a lap then, as they head their way up towards the Casio triangle with 22 seconds remaining on the clock? Azaredo has overcooked the entry slightly there, so the first apex gives the advantage then to Silvestri, as it's going to be white flag as these guys head their way across the line. 1 lap to go. And Silvestri is now do or die down in towards turn number 1. Outside line is chosen by the driver of the Ford GT, as Redo having to defend on the inside. Silvestri again so passive on the brakes, doesn't decide to send it down the outside there, and he might be punished for that because Tony Reprizard has got himself involved in this particular battle as well. Just having a look at where Eric Andre is, he's further up the road in the S's, so it's going to be a while before he heads his way across the line to take this race win. But wow, this battle's going to be absolutely brilliant if it comes right down to the wire. Silvestri through Dunlop curve, this long left-hander, and then get the car slowed down for the first right, the first Degner into the second Degner. You can just see visually how he closes up through those corners. That Ford is just working so well. And does he decide to send it then outside, inside for the hairpin? Outside is chosen, looking for the cutback maybe, but the thing is, the race clutch prototype might just ruin this one, at least for Reprizard and the driver third in line. We'll get past these two leaders. Careful there, as it does get quite narrow. Half is going to get boxed in here. He can't make his way by the lap traffic. Silvestri, he is well entitled to fight for this one, as well as Redo. It is a battle for position in these GTs that the prototype is disrupting a little bit. Then out of Spoon Curve they will go, and this is the chance for the prototype to get themselves past without disrupting this battle. But he's going to get blocked a little bit anyway. Might get boxed in again, believe it or not, is Johan Half. Headed his way down the inside of 130. Might be a compromised line then for Azredo, coming up towards the braking zone for the final chicane. Silvestri sends it down the inside. That's the commitment that we've been looking for from the Ford GT, and he gets the position as well. Fantastic there from Silvestri, and I think Azredo might have been disqualified as well, but Eric Andre comes across the line to win in your prototype field. Ricardo Castroledo, he's in the middle of a lap right now, and then it's going to be Fabrice Cornelis. Once he gets himself towards Spoon and the rest of the lap, he'll be the race winner in GT3. But what a fantastic finish there, even though it did end in a little bit of controversy with that disqualification. Just looking at what's going to be Arthur LeHook right now, Bruno Fontalba and Barry Morrison. They are still in a 3-car train very late on into this event on the final lap. So will we see the same fireworks from these guys for position number 5, 6, or 7? Or are they going to come across the line in an orderly fashion? Fontalba is there, ready and waiting and stalking. It's going to have to be a last-ditch move for him, perhaps in towards the Casio Triangle. But he's got himself, importantly, in the position to be able to do that. The thing is that Ford GT, the traction at the corner for that Ford is fantastic from Arthur LeHook. The thing is, things close up then down in towards Spoon. So Fontalba, it has to be this last opportunity. There's no other way of going about it. Try and get this exit off of Spoon, but I don't think it looks visually he wasn't as close as what was the battle with Silvestri earlier on just a couple of moments ago. But I think he can still try this one then down towards the inside at the Casio Triangle. Castroledo has headed his way across the line then to win your GTE division, and Fabrice Cornelis has also decided that he is done with the race as well, taking the checkered flag. But Arthur LeHook will hold on then for P number 5 in class. Bruno Fontalba settling for P number 6 after a last-ditch effort. But that was an interesting finish, Will.
Business picked up in those last couple of laps. Well done on keeping on top of all of it, because I tell you what, I was having trouble directing whilst doing that. There's so much going on in the last 2 laps.
Yeah, there was. We just had this whole flat line of no action throughout most of the middle of the race, and then everything happened in the final lap. It was hard for me to keep track of. Hopefully, it wasn't that hard for you to view, but oh my words, that was absolutely crazy, and I think it's only right now that we go through official finishing results. In your prototypes then, it is Eric Andre taking the race win 2 weeks in a row from Johan Half. Fraser Williamson third step on the podium, so 2 podiums in a row for him as well. We've got Benjamin Morton rounding out your top 4 in that class. Blake Neck P number 5 and Brandon Rains P number 6. Those are both classified as not finishing. in GTEs then, Ricardo Castelletto takes away a pretty comfortable race win by about 6 seconds over Thibaut Kazubon. Tammy Ackley will round out the podium there in that class. Antiohola Arthur LeHook will bring things down to position number 9 in class. Fontalba, Morrison, Caroni even further down. You've got the first cars a lap down on your prototypes. You've got Vincenzo Silvestri, who managed to gain that position in the dying moment in the final couple of corners over Azredo, but unfortunately Azredo has got himself disqualified. Tony Reprisard further back. You've got Andre Martins, who is also involved in that particular train as well. Luigi Nesperino, Cyril Rodriguez, Jan Sinkowski, and Med Drul bring things down more towards the back of that GTE field. Then you've got Renan Azaredo classified one more lap down than he otherwise would be because of that disqualification, though he is classified as a finisher. Joel Guez, Cesar Ferrona, Miko Melkala, and Benjamin Gonzalez all running into issues early on in this event, which has dropped them all the way to the back. Then your GT3 field, a little bit of drama then for Fabrice Cornes early on with a spin up in towards the spoon curve, but he did manage to recover things completely off screen there up into the maximum points paying position in GT3. Wim Stockmans and Michael Evdoka will round out the rest of your podium. De Souza, DeVille, and Lamogli there further back. You've got Lawrence Cantor, Eduardo Zinov, Alexandra Van der Rood, and Magro Fontini rounding out your entire 36-car grid for this event. Well, while we wait for drivers to get themselves in and have a couple of interviews, the one main question that I want to ask, though, is how terrible were the brakes in this event? But we'll get an answer to that one just after this short commercial break. Don't go away.
3, 2, 1.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulated test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
hello, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for round number 3 of the IMSA Online Sports Car Championship at Suzuka. We have 2 of the class winners here in the commentary booth. We also have a GTE driver as well, but I think we've got to kick things off, Will, with Eric Andre. He's standing by with you.
Is he? Apparently he is. And Eric Andre, congratulations. You are a back-to-back winner then on Friday Night Primetime here in the iRacing IMSA Sports Car Series.
Yeah, thanks. I'm quite happy with that victory because, like last week, I did a couple of mistakes, and yeah, today I managed to be consistent and do a full race without any mistakes. So yeah, definitely an improvement so far, and it's preparing us really well for the Petit next week.
You have basically been dominant over the last couple of weeks, but how difficult was the overcast conditions here today?
Suzuka is a tight track. You can't really overtake. You need to be really patient. For example, in the S, you can't really overtake, so you need to follow the cars and find a space to overtake, and also you need to be respectful towards the GT3 and GTE. So yeah, traffic management is pretty hard around there.
How hard was it in order to make sure that you didn't get involved in some of the very close battles that was going on in GTE late on in the event?
Well, I was quite lucky as I had a small gap on Johan, so I was just cruising around and like I was trying to not really disturb the battles, so I was taking my time and overtake the GT in the straight line.
And next week, a new track, of course. You say you're building up to the iRacing Petit Le Mans. Is this good practice for you in terms of race clutch?
Yeah, sure, because like we will enter a team with Johan. Last year we finished second overall, so obviously this year we will try to win it, but like a lot of opponents will be there, so it will be hard.
And who gets it done for that race clutch team?
Well, first of all, thanks to Richard No, the team, Klim, and Gamebox Image.
Thank you very much. And Eric Andre, back to you, Connery.
And Eric Andre then P number 1 in prototypes once again, and we'll get ourselves another race winner then in their class. That is going to be Fabrice Cornelis, GT3's PRT win. When are we going to stop saying PRT win in GT3s, Fabrice?
Hopefully never. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening to the Belgian, not the not the Dutchman as we saw on some of the broadcast overlays. But how is your race for you? Since it did seem a little bit shaky, especially in those early stages with your spin up in towards spoon curve. Can you just take us through that? Because from our perspective, you may have tagged a little bit of the grass on the entry.
Yeah, I checked it after the race, but I just got a bit too hard into spoon into the first part of it, and just the rear just snapped out. Yeah, I think it's just about being confident in the car, and that's what I not have at the moment, because I'm driving a lot of prototypes, and coming to these cars just without practice is very hard, so you really have to build confidence, and yeah, I guess I have to drive those a bit more again.
We saw multiple drivers out there today have trouble with braking performance. We had some of the prototypes themselves go for spins early on into some of the heavy braking zones. You saw, of course, yourself having an issue up until spoon, and a couple of others as well. So how are the entries to the corners feeling, especially in this sort of weather? Because it doesn't seem like many people were confident at all on hitting the brakes and getting themselves stopped.
Yeah, exactly. Many people think overcast takes a lot of grip, but mostly in overcast you get a lot of snap on turning on entries of corners, so it's pretty hard to deal with, and not always easy to do. So yeah, you have to adjust a lot. I also only practiced in hot weather, so it was very weird coming in this weather. But yeah, you have to adjust and yeah, hope for the best.
And what's your schedule like then for the next couple of months? Because we have the Sports Car Open, we have the Neo Endurance Series. What are you doing as part of PRT in the next couple of months?
We got SCO coming up this Sunday. That's something we are looking forward to. Yeah, LMP1 of course, Petit and me, the thing of us. And yeah, I don't know. For the rest, it's pretty calm. We got the Road to Pro coming up in November, but that's still quite some time. yeah, we will see. Just do some random races and try to have some fun mid-season.
Absolutely, and PRT always going to be up there, always going to be fighting for those race wins, especially in those GT machines. But Fabrice, is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, sure. First of all, you guys for broadcasting. Epic job like always. And then our sponsors, Pujo, Autohaus, Walmeier, and Asher Racing, and the Pure Driving School.
Well, that's Fabrice Cornelis, winner in your GT3 division for this one. And Will, we have a GTE driver, the Finn that is almost impossible to pass. It's Antiohola.
Yeah, and he comes from P number 4 in this event today. Antti, you don't get yourself a podium here, but you do get yourself a respectable 4th place finish. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I was tiptoeing the entire race pretty much because I've DQ'd the last 2 races this season, so I just wanted to take a finish this time.
And, well, in terms of how this race was, I mean, GTE always seems to have the most action on track. How tough was it out there in those overcast conditions?
Yeah, it was a typical Suzuka race, done all practice in hot weather, and then the main race pretty much is in cold weather, which you haven't done any practice on, so it was sort of difficult, and the Fords were just flying, so I wouldn't say it was an easy race.
Wasn't an easy race for you here today, but of course, next week it is a new track and a new opportunity. How do you think week 4 is going to go in what is going to be our first 60-minute event of the season at Road Atlanta?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Of course, it's Petit Le Mans week, so lots of cars, lots of people are going to be racing that week also, so it's going to be good.
Who do you want to give a shout out to from Team Bushwink Racing?
Yeah, shout out to the team. Shout out to Jimmy on lunch for good practice help with the lap times, and shout out to the RaceBot team.
Well, thank you very much. That is Antiohola from Team Bushwink Racing. Connery, back to you.
Absolutely, and well, at the end there, absolutely fantastic event that we've had this week, and definitely looking forward to next week then at Road Atlanta. But for now, that is all we have time for, but it's not the end of racing action here on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network as well. We do have a couple of events lined up for you over this weekend, and one of the big ones, or the big one, is the World Championship Grand Prix Series, round number 12 from Suzuka. This exact same racing circuit will play host to one of the final rounds of the World Championship Grand Prix Series. See Martin Kroenke, see Mitchell de Jong battle it out for a chance at the World Championship Grand Prix Series title. Of course, it's going to be Will Vincent, Jake Sperry, and Jonathan Simone taking you through the action in that one. And then you've got the first round of the second season of the Sportscar Open. That is going to be 11 a.m. on the Sunday. That is GMT. And then you've got the major series as well, the Japanese Grand Prix, and with Jake Sperry and Cameron Walsh. Guess which track that one's going to be on. And you've also got Logical Classic IndyCar Series there on the same day. 6 p.m. GMT. Jack Stiles is going to be taking you through the action for that one. And then to finish off the packed racing action for this weekend is the McLaren Shadow Series, 7 p.m. GMT on the Sunday as well. And it's going to be this same crew doing that one as well. But for now, that is all we have time for. Thank you very, very much for watching this edition of RaceSpot TV Friday Primetime. We'll see you next week.